And now, get ready for some sports talk with Denny McLain.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place. Singing, we will rock you.
And here's your host, Denny McLain.
Good morning, I'm Denny McLain, and wait till you hear this.
I'm Ron Cameron. What do you mean, wait till you hear this? What's that supposed to mean?
Look at the shirt.
I've worn that shirt before.
You've never worn this shirt before.
Because I have a sweater over it, Denny. That's why.
You know the big thing about that shirt?
What's that?
Not one spot on it yet, but it's early.
Denny, I've been wearing sweaters on this show. I have a lot of nice shirts.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, let me tell you what we're going to...
You'll see a different one next week.
Let me tell you what we're going to talk about. In our first segment today, we're going to talk about Lomas Brown, Rob Parker, and a lady by the name of Susie Favor, and that is her middle name, Hamilton. We're going to talk about the Bears and the Lions.
A lot of favors for men.
This is...
She did a lot of favors for men.
This is going to be such a bad show.
It's going to be a good show.
We're going to talk about Tim Tebow, who continues to have problems. I think Timmy should probably go to Jacksonville, find out he can't play, and move on to another career. We're going to give you an update on the NHL strike. Last and certainly not least, we're going to talk about we're going to get some questions. We got a lot of people here today, and I suspect we got a lot of good questions. First of all, Lomas Brown. I have never been so shocked to hear something so dramatic as what Lomas said, that he allowed Scott Mitchell to get hurt.
He wanted him to get hurt.
Well, it would be like me telling the other guy, Sam McDowell on another team, listen, make sure you hurt K-Line tonight. Make sure you hurt Willie Horton or Bill Freehan. Something like that. I mean, they're using the word reprehensible. You know what? Had they known about it at the time, it may have been considered criminal.
It could be considered criminal. Now listen to this. What do you do? Does Lomas Brown lose his job with ESPN?
I don't know. ESPN is treating it like it's a little comic book. And I was very taken back. I saw one of the interviews with Lomas this morning, and I've got to tell you something. It's like it's a non-issue at ESPN. It isn't considered a serious matter. Listen, he did not finish the last 7 games that year because of that injury, the injury that Lomas allowed. And here's the other part to this. According to Lomas, and we haven't had this confirmed by Glover, but Glover apparently was a part of it too, to some degree. He told Glover.
He wasn't part of it, but he told him what he was going to do.
Isn't that indifference?
Guilt by association?
Guilt by indifference and association, because Glover did nothing to stop it. He didn't say, hey, listen, Lomas, don't you dare. Come on, we got to play this ball game. Of course, all the facts in the story are a little bit mixed up, how they lost the game, God bless you, and how badly they got beat. They actually did get beat bad that day, 38-30, but Lomas tried to make it sound like a closer game. But I suspect that this has got to do with prejudice / maybe a little bit of racism. Let me tell you why. Everybody in this town pulled for Barry Sanders. We certainly did. I thought Barry Sanders was the most exciting, best runner I'd ever seen in the history of the NFL, and he still is today. I don't care who you compare against him, he still is. Barry,
not according to Barry's father, Jim Brown was.
I mean, please, his dad goes back to a different era,
so
it makes a big difference.
No,
will you
it's
stop?
Still his father, though, Denny. It's still his father.
Well, that doesn't make him right because he's his father. I'll get you 50 people, and I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee you 40, 45 of them will say that Barry Sanders was the best running back they'd ever seen, including players.
Because they haven't seen James Brown.
Oh, you see all kinds of... Listen, first of all, they were 100 pounds lighter back in that day. They did wear face masks, contrary to what some people are saying. Jim Brown was a great player, no question about it. But he wasn't Barry Sanders.
He's bigger than Sanders, stronger than Sanders.
He couldn't catch Barry Sanders, for God's sake. I'll tell you something else, too.
What's that?
If Barry Sanders was playing back in the 50s and 60s, as good as he was, none of the defensive linemen would touch him. The guy turned direction at full speed.
He did, but he wasn't as fast as you say. He was not that fast. He was just so shifty. Not the speed. He didn't have great blinding speed.
Listen to me, new shirt.
Yo, Yeah.
Listen to me.
Old shirt.
Barry Sanders, if he had had the right deal in the NFL when he quit, would have set every record, and none of the records that he was about to set would have ever been touched.
Maybe.
That's how good he was.
You may be
Because
right.
I still think he had 3 to 5 years left.
Oh, I would think so, but you just said it, hit the nail on the head. He quit.
But let me get to my prejudice
quit.
statement. Let me get to my prejudice statement. I believe that the Lomas Browns, some of the Lomas Browns in that team, were pulling so hard for Barry to make the most money, and he certainly deserved the most money. And in walks a white guy from Miami who's been sitting next to Dan Marino for a couple of years, and all of a sudden is handed $20 or $25 million. They all thought that Barry should have got that money. I don't think there's any question. I probably do too. And I think that's where this story started, because Lomas, who was very close to Barry when they played, was taken back and insulted by the money that Scott Mitchell got.
That doesn't make it right. I don't care.
Of course it doesn't make it right. I'm not defending him. It was, and the word that's being used is reprehensible. It was totally reprehensible.
You talk about Barry Sanders. You may be right. Maybe he was one of the great running backs and the most exciting running back ever. And you may be right. He may have been the greatest. But the difference on Barry Sanders under Bobby Ross and Wayne Fontes. Wayne Fontes let Barry Sanders do whatever the heck he wanted. And that's what pissed the Lions off. They told me that. He came and went whenever he pleased.
Who, Barry?
Yes.
That's not true.
It is true.
I used to do the show with another guy named Eli Zarrett, remember? Yeah. Eli and I were out there all the time. Barry was always there, except
Barry
when he had a problem.
Went to early camp, and
he didn't need early camp.
He still should have been there. And the Lions got mad, including Lomas told me about that too.
And I know this segment's running awfully long, but I want to say something to Lomas. Lomas, when you played, you weren't the owner. You weren't the general manager. You weren't the coach.
Hell of a player.
And if you and you really were a real good super player, and if you really didn't like Scott Mitchell, if you didn't like the way he was running the football team, you should have went to the coach and said, Coach, I don't want to play for him. Coach, take me out. Coach, I can't give you 110% for this guy. Coach, I'm not going to put up with a guy like this. And the coach's question would be, put up with what? You think the guy is trying to lose? Not only that, but in 1995, he goes out and throws for 4,400 yards. Yeah, had a hell of a year. The guy could play, and what Lomas forgets about is we didn't have the greatest line in the 90s. We didn't have the greatest team.
Glover was a good line. They
look
had a
at the
pretty good
stats.
line.
I rest my case. Look at the stats. Look where we finished every year. Got to the playoffs one time. And who took us to the playoffs?
Barry.
Wayne Fontes.
Wayne
Barry
Fontes was
Sanders
along for the ride.
Stop it.
Wayne Fontes was a buffoon, Denny.
You know what?
A buffoon.
When Wayne Fontes reminded me a lot of Mayo Smith, and I'll tell you why.
Oh,
okay?
No way.
Because he knew what his players were capable of doing. That's something inherent in a good coach or manager or even players at times.
Denny, let me explain something. Wayne Fontes had one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the most talented teams in the NFL.
I disagree.
He stunk. He didn't know what he was doing when he was caught with cocaine. How do you defend him on that one?
That doesn't make him a bad running back.
No, I'm not talking about Barry. No. I'm talking about Wayne Fontes.
So what?
The point is, Wayne Fontes was a rear-end kisser to Ford. That's all he did. Wayne Fontes was considered by players a buffoon.
Folks,
as a coach, he was a buffoon. Why couldn't he get a job when he left here? Answer that one.
Because he sued the Lions. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He sued the Lions.
Why did he sue the Lions? You see
because he said they owed him money.
No.
And by the way,
Denny, you're wrong.
By the way, he lost the case.
Whoa.
Wait, we got to go. I'm going to
come back and talk about this.
Oh, you can come back and talk about this.
We're going to do that.
We'll be right back, and a lot with Rob Parker also. Thank you. Welcome back. You want the last word on the Lomas Brown thing?
I just want to say, I love Lomas Brown's a friend. He's been on my show a few times, going out to eat dinner, even though they eats 4 wet burritos at
Tomaine Telly's?
No, 4 wet burritos. My restaurant's doing well, by the way, now. It's called All-Star Grill and Pizza. We want to see.
Oh, let's not do this again.
Hang on. It's in Southfield on the corner of Northwestern Highway and Beck Road, right at the lodge there. Come on in. We got great food, and the pizza is the best. Try it and see.
Okay.
Now, Lomas Brown.
Here we go. Rob Parker.
Yeah. Let's talk Lomas first. And no, we'll go to Rob. Lomas Brown, I love you to death. You're a heck of a guy, but what you did, I lost a lot of respect for Lomas Brown. And I don't know how he can keep his job at ESPN. What he did there was a disgrace. He disgraced himself. He disgraced the Lions. He disgraced the fans. He disgraced everybody.
Sounds like Lomas Brown calling us right now.
Yeah, Lomas Brown's calling.
All right, let's talk about Rob Parker. Rob Parker has got himself in trouble. He's going to be suspended now for 30 days at ESPN. I don't know what else is going to happen, but, and I don't, you know, as I saw the interview, it was a series of questions, and he decided to do a little loose commentary. I mean, I don't know if he had a nip or two before he went on the air or something, but this was really unusual for Parker to go so sideways. These are some of the things he said about Robert Griffin III, the quarterback. He said, first of all, he's got a white girlfriend. Secondly, he's a Republican. Third, is he a brother or a cornball brother? And then lastly, and certainly not least,
he's not one of us.
He wears braids. He's not one of us. What the hell is, I don't understand, I don't even know where to begin because I don't understand what he was trying to say.
He says the cornball brother because he has a white wife, but but here's a man that was in, and I tease him about this all the time. Rob was in love with B. Arthur.
What the hell is wrong with
B.
that?
Arthur's white.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I meant.
Okay, I get it now. Let me tell you what I think. Let me tell you what I think it's about. I don't know if he was saying that this is a stereotype thing that he should be in the same group as what at one time professional sports and other sports used to think is the black guy was the guy who could run like hell, but that's about all. Yeah. I think that's about what he was talking. I really do. But he was totally in conflict with this stereotype thing. I mean, this is a very bright kid. This is a very articulate kid, and it's got nothing to do with him being black, white, green, or yellow. He just happens to be an individual, whether he be black, pink, white, or yellow again. He is a kid who can play football. He is, in a sense, very articulate, good in school. He did all the right things in school. He's never had any problems. And I guess maybe the thing Parker has wrong with this thing is the guy is too good. Maybe he just doesn't believe it.
I agreed with the suspension in 30 days. I didn't want him to lose his job. He's a good man. I didn't want him to lose his job. I agreed. He had to get suspended. 30 days, I think, is appropriate. What did you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there's more to this than what we're actually knowing. But I also think if there's anything dramatically different, he'll be gone. Secondly, let us not forget about Don Imus and those horrible remarks about the girls' basketball team. Jimmy the Greek. Right? Jimmy the Greek's statement was at that time was like an atom bomb when he laid that out. So I don't know. I cannot figure out how it got to be so bad. And I looked at the interview again this morning, and I still don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I just have no idea. But he lost his job here in Detroit too. Before, so all kinds of things ramification. But he's always been a little loose. He's always been, he's always been on the edge. That's the kind of thing he does. He's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy and a good guy. Did he lose his job at Channel 4?
I don't know.
Because he replaced Katrina Hancock when she left. So and he wasn't on the.
I haven't seen him on in a while.
I haven't seen him on anywhere in a while. If he got suspended there, I don't know.
Now let us give you the story of the day. Her name is Susie Favor Hamilton. And I got to read this to you. This young lady has won all kinds of awards since 1992.
Terrific athlete.
92, 96, and 2000, the Summer Olympics. She also won 9 NCAA titles, 14 All-American awards during her illustrious career as a middle distance runner. And she just openly admitted after some blog wrote about her being a hooker today.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker, though, to the whole story.
She said she's proud of it.
She said she's proud of it. But more importantly, here's what gets me. Her husband's an attorney. It shocked me when I found that out. And the article in there said, well, he tried to convince her not to do it. Convince her not to do it. I mean, what would drive a person
to do it?
I just don't get it. And she traveled the country. She traveled the country from one coast to the other, and but the awards that she won are beyond belief. Somebody also said in the article that female infidelity now is worse than men. Who would ever think we'd ever hear that? Right?
Well, what she did, is he going to divorce her? Is he just going to keep her or what?
He knew about it. I think
it.
it's just a little bit too late now to jump off the ship, so to speak.
Ship is sinking.
She was also, one of the other things that I found almost like Lomas Brown, like when she was in a big heat, a big race in the Olympics, she actually fell on purpose in order not to lose the race. I think she had a psychological issue. She had something going on in her life that nobody else understands, and maybe, hopefully, she gets the help that she needs because, it just doesn't make any sense.
That's sports today, isn't it?
Sports today is no longer running the race, throwing the football, making a tackle, throwing a curveball. Sports is a general 110% reflection of what real life is, and we've all seen that. We shall be back in a moment. The Lions playing the Bears today.
Your Bears.
My Bears, and I never hid that. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I'm a huge Cub fan, and I'm a huge. Yeah, boy, did they won last week.
Yeah, won.
I'm scared to death that they don't win this game. I think it's just a matter of shutting Johnson down. And listen, there's only one great player on the team. You shut him down, you got a chance. And I know he just set the record. He's going to have a few more yards before the season's over with. But I think, records are records. Don't misunderstand me. But you know what? They started throwing him the ball every time. This wasn't like Jerry Rice setting a record. No. So, I don't want to put an asterisk by it because it's still a lot of catches and it's still a lot of yards. But it's not the same as winning with a record. It just isn't the same.
Let me ask you, when you predicted earlier this year that the Lions would win 10 or 11 games.
Why do you do that every week?
Because it's worth talking about. Was this one of them you expected to win against the Bears?
Yeah, no. I expect the Bears to win this ball game. I absolutely do. Okay. Everybody's relatively healthy. I mean, what do you about?
I'm just saying the Bears have stunk the joint out the last few weeks until
last week.
Last
week. We won last week.
The last 5 weeks before that?
Listen, I don't have an explanation for it. I really don't. I know that for 3 weeks we didn't have our quarterback in there, Cutler. Okay, and in the NFL, it's all about quarterbacking.
They missed 3 games.
But this week, 2 things are going to happen. Our guy Johnson's going to get more yards, and Stafford needs 7. Listen to this. He needs 7 passes to set the all-time record for the most passes tossed in a season. Not completions, just passes. This is a mind-boggling number for a team that may finish 4-12.
Will finish 4-12, Denny.
You think my Bears are going to win?
That's what I said, yes.
Yeah, but you're anti-Detroit anyway. You always.
I'm not anti-Detroit. You're the one that's pro-Detroit. You picked the Tigers to win it. What did they do in the World Series?
They did pretty good until they got to the World Series.
Well, I'm talking about in the World Series. I said the Giants would win.
But wait a minute, you can't win them all.
Denny, you're not winning too many of them, Denny, at all.
I'm going to get you another shirt.
Don't come back at that.
And the Bears are tweaking like a birdie in a cage, for God's sake.
They're pooping in their pants.
They're talking about the dirty play of the Lions, the filthy play of the Lions. Last year, of course, during the season, there were over $100,000 in fines between the Bears and the Lions. We remember Sue, all of the nastiness. Listen, he is what he is. And one day he's going to get, like he always does, or a lot of the Lions do, they get caught at the wrong time. Yeah. You can be dirty up to a point, but you can't be dirty all the time. And unfortunately, I believe, my prediction today will be that there shall be a number of skirmishes that we will all hope, this was the NHL.
Give a score.
Well, I think the Bears will win 30-17.
You're actually sounding convincing on that, and that's not a bad score. You also said the Lions would win 38-6 after you said 50-0 against a team they should have clobbered, Arizona.
Well, I wrote a book once that said nobody's perfect.
Perfect. You got to be right sometime, though, Denny.
I was right last week.
In what way were you right?
I said the Lions would lose, didn't I? No, I didn't.
No, you don't. No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. Who did we play last? Oh, we played nobody last week. Right?
No, they played the Thursday of the game against Atlanta.
Saturday night.
I mean Saturday.
Yeah, that's
against
right. We
Atlanta,
didn't play
yeah.
anybody. We only played Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things the Bears are chirping about is Dominic Raiola.
Oh, yeah.
About all this popping off stuff. And I was
He does pop off a lot.
Oh
Dominic
man!
Raiola.
And the Bears are calling him. He's old and washed up. Yeah, I don't know.
Was he ever any good to begin with? How can you be washed up unless you were pretty good?
The only thing I've got against Raiola is, like I've always said, and I've said this 100 times on the show, he has never taken any responsibility for 0-16. No. All he's been worried about all year is who this mythical general manager is in Minnesota or Cleveland or Timbuktu or wherever this guy lives. That's all he's been concerned with this year, and I think that's at least disingenuous because I think it takes away from his play. When we come back, we've got questions today. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and this is our section in our show where we take questions from the audience. Yes, ma'am. Where are you from, and what's your question?
I'm from Hamtramck. My name is Natalie Montica, and I wanted to take you back to 1968.
Uh-oh.
Okay? I personally thought you were a hottie.
Ooh.
A what?
A hottie.
Ooh.
He was a great-looking guy. He still is.
Ma'am, are you blind?
No, I was a hottie back then, too. We're talking 68.
You were a hottie back then yourself?
I was pretty hot, yeah.
I'll bet.
Okay, but my thing was that I had listened to the baseball game. I was a bank teller. I had listened to the baseball game. They locked me inside of a vault, and I had a little transistor radio counting money. Back in the day, they didn't have all this fancy stuff.
You worked at a bank then?
Yes, I was a bank teller.
No, you're kidding. She said bank twice.
They locked her in the dog.
I was listening to the game, which was many because it was the World Series.
And Denny was pitching.
And he was pitching.
Oh, good. Okay.
And again, he was a hottie, so he had a lot of fans, including myself. And I turned around and we were, counting. I was counting the money by myself, and they won. I was so excited. I threw the money into the air.
Oh my God!
Which was the dumbest thing that I did. Well, one of the dumbest.
Why is it so dumb?
Because it was all in sequence.
Oh my!
And
goodness.
so I had to stay an extra 5 hours because of you.
Danny, you
to
got to
put
take
the money back
responsibility for that.
Did they pay overtime?
No, I'm lucky I didn't get
man.
fired.
Well, let me ask you a question. What
Because of
bank?
you.
What bank?
Hamtramck Liberty State Bank.
Are they gone now, or are they still
Oh, they're
with us?
gone. I'm gone. They're
She put them out
gone.
of business.
See, they deserve to be out of business for that.
Yeah,
act.
but everybody was listening to the game. The entire bank was listening to the game with different, parts.
And
of
you were in
thing.
the vault locked in
I was
there?
locked
Locked in.
in. Back in the day, they would lock you into the vault to count money. So when they had the vault open, they had it looked like kind of like a prison thing with the bars, so you can kind of see a little bit.
You're
Oh,
lucky
I
they
see.
let you out.
They let me out 5 hours later.
You're the
Because
reason she stayed in there, though, Danny.
so it was your fault.
Yeah, it was.
Did you take any money?
No, I was an honest teller.
Yeah, well, nobody's perfect.
Well, what are you going to do? And I thank you
That's
so
why I
much
plugged
because
my
I'm
reference.
totally
Thank
Plug
you.
your book, Danny.
We appreciate you coming out
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. How about that, huh? The bank teller, huh?
Yeah, it's not. That's nice.
Not bad. Very nice story.
A blind bank teller at that.
Yes, yes, sir. Your name
Hi.
and where you from?
Mike Deck from Roseville.
Hi, Mike.
And you guys didn't really talk much about the NHL. I mean, what's the real bird's eye lowdown on this
What's there to
caper,
talk
whatever that means?
He's right.
You know something
what's there to
that
talk
we
about?
don't know from the radio and the papers?
He's right about one thing, though. I'll tell you this, and he's not right very often. This
Right,
time,
more than you are.
At time, you're exceptionally right because there's nothing going on in the NHL. They're not meeting. They brought in a federal negotiator again next week. They accomplished nothing. The players have now filed a lawsuit to break the union with the antitrust exemption. Believe you me, you're going to see some movement because no owner in any professional sport wants to see the antitrust exemption broken. And one day we should do a show on that so people understand what it's all about.
They'll play hockey this year, Denny.
I don't think so.
Half this year, half
Well, they
this
will
season.
now with the lawsuit. Sir, your name and where you from?
Hi, my name's Leon Leger. I'm the chef of the Castle on Gratiot, and
Well, wait a minute. We get an invitation?
oh, definitely
Right.
Tonight I'll cook you
You
something
won't fit in
good.
the castle, Denny.
Zip it. Go ahead.
All of us at the Castle, we want to know, in your opinion, 6-8 Tigers to the Tigers of today, who would win?
Oh, please. And that question gets asked a lot.
Well, give
I
an
got to
answer
tell
then.
you something. First of all, our staff was terrifically deep. We had Lolich. We had Sparma. As sporadic as he was, he had great stuff. We had Earl Wilson. We had some other guys that could throw the ball through a wall.
You.
We really had good
Like
players.
you.
Not only that, and this is the best part, our guys knew how to play the game of baseball. They could actually bunt. They could actually field a bunt. They knew where to go with the ball all the time, and they knew how to hit a cutoff man. I'm telling you, and you've heard me say this before, the worst thing that happens with our Detroit Tigers when they go out there and play the season, 162 games, fundamentally, they don't know how to play effectively. They don't consistently play the game. But yeah,
You're saying that Ray Orler,
you know what? In a series best of 7, we'd be through in about 2 days.
Are you saying Ray Orler had a lot more range than Johnny Peralta?
Oh, zip it, Johnny Peralta.
He stinks. That's why.
Your name, sir, and your question.
My name is Andrew Severini. I'm from Clinton Township. I'm a pitcher. And
Quit dancing. Just
you're
stand
dancing
still.
around like it.
I want to know how you pitch faster with your legs.
Ah, what a great question. How much time we got? A week?
No, we only have 2 minutes. Probably.
You know what? It's all got to do with rhythm. It's all got to do with being able to stop your windup at any place. It's moving your weight to a certain place to have your legs push you forward. And I wish I could explain that even more definitively, but the name of the game is you got to get behind the ball. You've heard people say, well, get up on top, get up on top. If you get up on top, you'll get behind the ball. And there's one other thing. Keep your head still. You keep your head still, you'll be a good pitcher, I promise.
And don't dance.
Yeah, no dancing. You can't. That's a balk. You know, that is clearly a balk to sway on the mound like that, right? What position you play? You a pitcher?
Yeah, and I play third base.
How big is your father? How tall?
5'11", I think.
God.
He does look like
Was he your father? You're like 6'5" already.
No, he's not 6'5".
Look at him. He's got legs longer than you.
We're out of time, aren't we? Thank you.
Thank God.
You can listen to me this afternoon from on AM 1130 WDFN from 2 to 4 this afternoon. Tune me in and stop by All Star Grill and Pizza.
Yes, sir.
In
Stop
Southfield,
by.
Northwestern Highway in Beck Road,
Stop
right by
by
the lodge.
Tomaine Telly's and get sick.
We'll see
You'll
you
spend
there.
a whole week at the
Bye-bye,
hospital.
everybody.